coming from Hong Kong, from a 700 square foot apartment, 5 people lives in, including our nanny, with 1 toilet, moving to a 3,400 square foot was an incredible transition. You know, you suddenly found yourself open to all the world. You know, you're sitting in the middle of your living room when you have that glass piece and all that glass. Animals just come and look at you sometimes, you know, you feel like in an aquarium in all ways. And then naturally the landscape change quite radically every day. I think it's amazing to see how your relationship with nature can be also in a city like Los Angeles. You can develop that relationship with nature.
Our firm is called Spatial Practice. It was originally formed in Hong Kong about 15 years ago. We do primarily in Asia, we're doing larger residential projects, a lot of art installations. Since coming to Los Angeles about 2 years ago, we've been majorly focusing on single-family homes and whatever other inventors we have.
We were looking for a house to renovate, and we went to see several mid-century houses around the hills of Mulholland Drive. And I got a call from a friend of mine saying that there's an off-market house, mid-century, you should come and see it. And I came to see it, and I think from the entry, I was skeptic about which kind of architect. It was in a very bad shape. And the moment I dived into the patio, I kind of noticed, wow, there's something magical about this house. And then coming to the house, I discovered the guy who sold it obviously put all the blueprint and then the sketches by Neutra, and I was like, wow. Gave a call right away to Dora, and I understood that we are in one of Neutra, lost Neutra, what we call. Then we discovered that the house was designed for Stephen Lord, who commissioned Neutra back in '61 to design a bachelor pad for him. Stephen Lord was a screenwriter who wrote Treasure Island, Chips, many TV series, musicals. So I think the combination with him and Neutra led to this very special house.
The property itself is very special because it's on top of this hill. The house went through a series of additions, and then also even with Stephen acquiring more land. It's just very special because of the location. You see the valley, it's very quiet. Stepping in for a first time, I felt like I unlocked a jewel box. I think that's what caught my eye. Like obviously walking through this entry, this very mid-century, it's like, what is this place? Yes, and then we open the door, we see the view, and it was just, this place is special.
I think for me, it was looking on Los Angeles or California architecture. Mid-century had a big impact. For me, one of the best, just because of the simplicity. Also, it's a post-beam structure. The quality of spaces, the shading, the orientation, the simplicity, the thickness of the roof, all of that element made it, for me, a very special architecture. I was very familiar with Richard Neutra before as well, and really liked it. I mean, it was always this Lottner, Neutra, Kuning, in between these three. And once we started the project, we went to see 4 or 5 houses. I went to the archive of USC, the apartment studio in Silver Lake, the VDL house, the Chewy house, the Taylor house. I started collecting images and text, furniture. I've learned so much about him. It was amazing to dive into his world because it was a very rich world, survival through design. I really like the way he expresses his desire. And also as an immigrant coming here, an Austrian immigrant, him, Schindler and all that gang did an amazing work, working with Wright. That triangle exploded and showed a lot of great architecture here.
We were also fortunate to get some of the original drawings, and that was really helpful to help us kind of restore the entry. We added this bonsai tree that wasn't there before. Also, some of the proportions in the front, we restored back to what we assumed was the original sketches, our original intentions, that something happened over the years. I'm very thankful each time when I open the bedroom door and I see the view. It's different all the time. Sometimes the valley disappears, just to understand the dynamics of nature. Our family dynamics also, we still kind of travel around between zones of the house together. The children haven't really gotten used to living in such an expansive space.
Yeah, we end up at the weekend, for example, on Friday night, all the family sleeps in one room. Yeah. Just because it's there's something nice about the family, hanging out together. But it's just, we get used to living literally in a 700 square foot house. But I've learned from this house to appreciate Neutra, and not just by the style, but the clarity of design. And that's something that I'm trying to convey also to our students as well. The house is facing fully north. All the south side, basically, there are almost no windows, which is thermally amazing. This house, because of the thin roof, you can open it around 5 minutes, 2 doors, and it clears out and you don't need AC. So all these old intentions, everyone's talking about sustainability and greenhouses. He didn't talk about it. He just wear shoes and, and walked to this office and did it, And so for me, it's this kind of analogy also today. I don't want to talk about sustainable design. I don't tell you, hey, I just wear my shoes off and I'm walking. Great. It's something that have to be part of your design, facing where you face, how do you orient the proportions, the scale of the volumes, all of that. That's really the fundamental of architecture. And you can see it translated here in a very elegant, and so I think that's what captured me, at least in the last year and a half.
For spatial practice, we focus on spatial experiences. So, it's also something I encourage my students to do often, is just like how, as an architect, our role is not just to make a pretty building, but it's about how does one inhabit space. That means different things in different moments, right? So, if you're going to a really tall space that's very narrow versus a very wide space that's very low, that spatial experience, not talking about decoration and not talking about what's inside, but just the space itself is very different. So that, along with probably this is probably because I'd been living in very urban spaces with a lot of people, but how do you instigate like this kind of human interactions? I strongly believe, and I think Erik does too, we've done a lot of lectures about it too, is this how architecture can help human interaction, especially in today's society when we're becoming more closed because of security and we're afraid of things. But how can architecture do the inverse, and how does it promote people to interact more, whether by accident or purposeful? So this process has been quite amazing as an architect, to be able to restore this house. When we purchased the house from the daughters, they very much were grateful to have us as architects, because we wanted to restore, and quoting one of them, actually giving new life to the house. That journey has been really amazing. It's been really amazing to live here. It's been really amazing to be part of that journey of giving the house new life, but then at the same time to share the house with everyone.
For us, it was important to share this architecture. Naturally, we are trying to kind of share it with friends, family, but also architectural lovers, naturally, to make sure that this legacy of, a good, essential design is not just, something that we demolish quickly. We just show how it could be, what has been done, what's valuable, and this is just the basic, the essential, the way Neutra did it is so important to preserve, and in my opinion, it's so important to share with other people. It's so important to restore a building like that. Definitely in kind of so fast culture that we live today, it's really important to slow down, to show how good just a simple plane, in, out, breaking down rules could be a great way of living.